Day by day, the world is becoming more technologically advanced. With just the touch of a button or a simple voice command, you can send an email or text message. The government of Guyana is committed to improving the quality of life for all citizens and the overall development of the country as a whole. To this end, ICT has been identified as a key pillar of His Excellency David Granger-led administration's national development and governance strategy. A whole-of-the-government approach has been adopted to ensure that the collaborative efforts of ministries and agencies achieved the shared vision of creating a digitally inclusive and accessible government. The e-government agency within the Ministry of Public Telecommunications is a key driver in the delivery of greater quality and efficiency of public services. The agency, therefore, is key to realizing modernization in the public sector and development of a digital knowledge-based society. The ICT whole-of-government approach is manifested in helping communities thrive through digital access, and especially those that are poor, remote, and socially excluded. ICT provides opportunities for a nation to address the digital divide and to reduce poverty while registering economic growth. Developed and some developing nations have seen the emergence of a vibrant ICT sector that significantly contributes towards national gross domestic product, GDP. It is this ICT sector that should be built in most cases through public-private partnerships. In this week's Guyana 411, we will examine how ICT development will enhance a number of key sectors of society. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Gabriella Patram. Do stay tuned. Information and communication technology could be a big aid in delivering learning content. It makes learning fun and children enjoy the interactive activities. It also allows for maximum use to be made of scarce resources. The Ministry of Public Telecommunications has taken a number of steps to ensure that ICT is taken to schools all across Guyana.
The journey to a new digital era in schools has begun. Recently, teachers in Region 9 received laptops which they will use to prepare notes of lessons and other documents to use in their classrooms. The laptops were given to teachers at the North Rupununi Deep South and at the Ishalton Secondary Schools. The teachers of the Central Rupununi at the St. Ignatius Secondary School also received laptops. The handing over of the laptops is being done by the Ministry of Public Telecommunications through the e-government agency. To date, over 8,202 laptops have been distributed to teachers across all 10 regions of Guyana. The teachers say that this will make their work much easier.
Feel happy, ecstatic. It's good to have it for now. And the news about getting the IT service coming on stream later, that's also good news because it's something that we need down here. So we're looking forward to that.
I'm very happy to be receiving these laptops and which will benefit us, not only me as a teacher but as well as my students, and to deliver my curriculum in a better way.
I am Salvador Xavier, all the way from Oweta, a teacher. First of all, I must say that I am proud to receive this equipment, and it will assist me in helping my student and also my family, because there are few children who I have going to secondary, and it will be very helpful to me.
I feel wonderful because it's going to help me tool more into teaching in terms of creating teaching aids.
I'm excited about it, and I'm also happy because I think it would make our work much easier for me with the notes of lesson. Maybe we can now submit notes of lesson on the computer than writing. I think it would make our work easier.
Additionally, government has rolled out a project to have wireless connectivity in schools. This will help to make learning more interactive. The project will benefit students and teachers both on the coastland and hinterland. To bring the project on stream, technicians are doing three things simultaneously. They're installing internet-ready equipment in community centers, training community leaders and the children in the use of the internet, and installing more receivers to connect the computer laboratories in secondary schools. As of November 2016, over 120 schools on the coastland and in the hinterland were connected via the internet. The Minister of Public Telecommunications, Catherine Hughes, says that the Secondary Schools Connection Program was put on a fast track to ensure that students meet the CXC's new rule that requires all candidates to submit their SBA assignments or school-based assignments online.
Imagine we have a challenge with teachers in the Georgetown area. Yes. We have, so you can imagine the challenge it is where, unfortunately, a lot of qualified teachers don't want to go to, hinterland communities. The lure of life in the city in any part of the world is a strong lure. And therefore, again, to be able to ensure that the teacher that is an excellent math teacher at the Bishop's High School or at QC or at St. Rose's, that we could put a camera and technology in place and this classroom at the Bina Hill Institute, just out of Anai, could actually participate in that same classroom simultaneously as that teacher is teaching to that class at Queen's College. It means that the Bina Hill Institute or any school is able to benefit from the skills of that teacher. And I want to emphasize that this is in real time. And we actually tested this.
Parents may be wondering if their child or children will be supervised at all times while accessing the Wi-Fi in schools, to prevent them accessing inappropriate websites. Presidential Advisor on e-government Floyd Levi explains the security measures that are built into the networks that provide the Wi-Fi to schools, which should help to put parents' minds at ease.
Inappropriate use and access on the internet. We do have security software that controls, as far as we know them, those sites or access to those sites that provide malicious content and inappropriate content, such as pornography and things that are not required by school children.
The government has also recognized that there is a need to boost the human resource capacity. Approximately $160 million will be spent on the delivery of specialized ICT training in collaboration with the Government of India through the Center of Excellence in Information Technology. Up to 500 ICT professionals will be trained in a variety of advanced ICT areas of specialization. For example, these include cybersecurity, mobile and cellular 4G technologies, big data, and others in the 2-year duration of the project.
In the first instance, what we are going to do is train the trainers, those persons, those experienced ICT professionals who will in turn train, let's say, the younger generation. So in the first instance, we're looking for those persons who can now pass on the knowledge that they will have. So that will be the selection criteria for experienced ICT professionals who are equipped and have the knowledge to train.
And for the students, they will have to go through a process and having some form of qualifications as well to get into the program.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are several tracks. One of the areas that we're looking at is to increase the number of ICT engineers who would normally do your networking, your application development, websites, and so on. So those persons we are looking at would have already been trained, most likely at the University of Guyana or maybe through the PSM at a university overseas. So we're looking at university graduates and also looking at persons at a technician level, persons who would have developed themselves or would have gone to training courses here in Guyana to work on hardware and networks and so on.
With these major improvements in the education sector through ICT development, Guyana is expected to produce more highly qualified citizens for the job market. In the words of Minister Hughes, giving our children and teachers a proper framework for a rounded, high-quality education is very important.
Since assuming office in 2015, the coalition government has pursued a strong hinterland development agenda. This agenda includes ensuring citizens in the hinterland can access the same services that citizens on the coastline enjoy, including internet services. This year, an estimated $90 million will be used to provide ICT access for hinterland, as well as poor and remote communities throughout Guyana.
The e-government network will be installed in a number of indigenous communities this year. This will include government buildings such as post offices, which will become hubs where residents can access the internet. The aim of this initiative is to improve the livelihoods of persons in these regions and help to reduce the digital divide that exists between the coasts and hinterland, between the haves and the have-nots, and between urban and rural areas. In rural, poor and remote areas, community centers will be independently run by local residents, improving residents' access to information and services, supporting the delivery of education for young adults and youths. An estimated $30 million has been allocated for pilot projects, with a wider project expected to come on stream in the latter half of 2017. An estimated $90 million will be used to provide ICT access for the hinterland and for the poor and remote communities. Presidential Advisor on e-government Floyd Levi says community ICT hubs will soon be established in Masakanari, Anai, Letem, Waramadong, Paramakatoy, Aishalton, St. Cuthbert's Mission, Linden, Bartica, Madia, Mabruma, Port Kaituma, and Kokwani.
We intend to expand this network going further west to Mabruma and to Port Kaituma in Region 1. We also intend to expand the network going to Linden, Bartica, Madia, Kokwani, and Letem. So government offices in those townships and regions would be able to use the government network to communicate with their head offices and to execute their government functions.
Key to this initiative is the transformation of strategically located post offices into comfortable refurbished ICT hubs. Citizens will be able to go to these centers where they will be able to use the internet free of charge to access many government services. Levi says that all post offices within reach of the e-government network, especially those located in digitally excluded communities such as Lethem, Linden, Bartica, Madia, Mabruma, and Port Kaituma, will become community ICT hubs.
It's a new way that the Ministry of Public Telecommunications intends to look at the post office system as a whole. Post offices have had a really traditional role where they receive and deliver the mail on behalf of residents. But in 2017, we recognized that the post office cannot continue in that traditional mode. They've got to be where the citizens are now, and citizens are online. So post offices have to be online also. So a very good example of this is citizens wanting to conduct online business. But they may not be within the reach or the range of one of the regular courier services. So they can opt to conduct their business online, make their online purchases, and opt to have the post office deliver that package to wherever they're living. And in the reverse, they can also want to conduct business online by selling products online and have those products delivered to their clients via the post office. So the post office is going to be an integral part of what we see as a new e-commerce environment for citizens in Guyana. So to get the post offices to work with citizens in this electronic and digital age, we'd have to modernize them and make them equipped to work with citizens.
An important part in ICT development in the hinterland is the training of personnel. The Ministry of Public Telecommunications will be training persons on how to function and operate ICT equipment in their communities.
In the next stage of expansion, communities in regions 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10 will also be considered, as well as other potential communities in other regions. In rural, poor, and remote communities, these community centers will be run by local people and will serve members of the community in providing internet access, training, and computers to equip these centers.
Because of ICT development in the hinterland, the divide between the coast and hinterland will be lessened. Our Amerindian brothers and sisters will become aware of coastal life and activities taking place, whilst the citizens on the coastland will embrace and learn about indigenous life. Very importantly, they will be able to apply for important documents, such as a passport, from right within their village.
$31.2 billion has been set aside for the health sector this year. This should provide a much improved service In addition, the Ministry of Public Telecommunications will be providing services that would see that allocation stretched even further.
Development on the coastland has always been way ahead of the hinterland, and where you live could determine the quality of health care that you receive. Many times it is usually a health worker or medics at a health clinic who provide services in indigenous communities. However, using existing technologies, these health workers can consult with specialists on the coastland so that their patients can receive better care. Minister of Public Telecommunications, Catherine Hughes, explains.
We've got a patient in Nappy Village, for example, who has a complaint. The medic is not a doctor. It might be a scenario that they're not sure about. Before they put that individual on a plane and have the challenge of finding a plane and shipping them to Georgetown, with the requisite technology, that health worker and the patient could be in that health center and have a doctor dial in. Yes. And that doctor would be able to speak to the patient, understand what the symptoms are, depending on what the symptoms are, maybe actually show. If it's a rash, the technology is there today that the doctor would be able to see that specific rash and be able to offer expertise in the area of health. So it has tremendous benefits in terms of ensuring that we provide throughout the length and breadth of this country better health care.
With ICT development in the health sector, hospitals and health centers will be connected to each other to ensure a level of consultancy. It will also be easier to retrieve patients' records wherever they might be located.
We have designed a system that will do an inventory software of all of our drugs, and working with each patient. The chronic disease patient now will be uploaded into the system. All of them will have a booklet to take home. Now, if you're from Cotton Tree, you'll go to Cotton Tree Health Center to receive your drug, because we're catering for you at Cotton Tree Health Center, that you're in that catchment. If you're from Fort Wellington area, you come to our hospital. The only way you're going to come and receive those drugs at this hospital here or at another center is if you were referred from that hospital for control, for better admission, for control of the sugar or the blood pressure or your dyslipidemia. Now, with the booklet, you have to sign, the pharmacist signs that you have collected drugs for June month. Now, you cannot come, if you don't show the booklet, you can't receive the drug. So if you have your booklet in hand, it shows up on the computer that you already collected at Cotton Tree or you already collected here, so you can't collect again. It stops patient from double dipping, thereby decreasing the amount of drugs that go out. With our inventory software, we also want to decrease the amount of drugs that goes, those non-essential drugs that are on the shelf, like calcium and them, that goes and then they expires. Now, this cannot happen with our inventory software that we plan to install within the Regional Public Health Department. What the inventory software does is that if you have a 2-month shelf life, it tells you have a 2-month shelf life of this drug. If you have a 2-month stock out, the drug would be out in 2 months, it tells you time to order the drugs. If you have 6 months of this drug on shelf, it tells you you're overstocked on this drug, you don't need to send a CRIF to MMU to collect any more of this drug. So, and then it forecasts you for the future, because it knows that you have 10 diabetic patients, 11 hypertensive patients. So it gives you a good forecast to monitor the control of all of the drugs and medical supplies.
ICT development in the health sector will also help support and boost existing and new programs that are part of the Ministry of Public Health's mandate towards improving and providing equal and equitable health to all for the good life of all Guyanese.
The world is changing rapidly to digital, and so is the way business is done. With just the press of a button, an order can be sent and payment can be made and an order received. This will see the business sector growing as well.
With ICT development, Guyanese are urged to use technology for entrepreneurial activities and not only for leisure. Minister of Telecommunications, Catherine Hughes, says that young people can get into their own businesses and become very successful because of the internet.
But really, there are entrepreneurial activities. Young people especially can get into their own business. can get orders, can use Facebook as a business enterprise tool.
Minister Hughes points out that Guyanese need to start thinking differently when it comes to development in commerce and business.
My message to the whole of Guyana, start thinking differently. We have to start embracing the use of plastic. We have to stop walking with millions of dollars. I mean, it's like young people would say, duh, you're still walking in a car with $2 million? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. And what we don't realize is there is a financial cost to operating a financial system that is so heavily dependent on cash.
There are great advantages of ICT development in commerce and business. These include allowing organizations to work more efficiently and maximize productivity. Faster communication, electronic storage, and the protection of records are also advantages that ICT can have on businesses.
The banking community, the Bank of Guyana, is already putting things in place to up the game. So we improve and we move to a less cash-based financial system.
With the economy expected to grow by 3.8% this year, the business community will definitely benefit significantly as well. Communication is essential to the business world, and ICT gives businesses the resources to communicate quickly and effectively. Communication is made more efficient through email, video conferencing, and intranet, so that they always have an efficient way to conduct business and communicate. This makes transactions, payments, and their communications very efficient.
It is every government's priority to ensure that their citizens are safe, free from crime. It is also their priority to ensure that there is a working system in the event that citizens need to report an act of crime.
The highlight of Guyana's transformational strategy is the implementation in phases of the Smart City, Safe City program, Smart Guyana. Imagine an ICT-driven program which integrates all sectors and services into a cohesive whole. The Safe City model, which is already being implemented by the Ministry of Public Security, using technology, cameras on street corners, a command center monitored 24/7, and a new communication tool that will ensure that if you do the crime, you will do the time.
No matter on which side of the political fence you may be, most should accept that never before have we solved so many crimes in a short space of time in Guyana. Remember those days of the past administration when the unsolved file was full. The Smart City concept builds on our efforts to bring to-date and up-to-date technology to government services, to teaching, to taking a doctor through Skype or another form of technology to remote villages. So the consultation between a health worker and a patient and maybe a doctor in Georgetown or anywhere else can take place. I'm sure you get the picture. And yes, can we do it? You know, yes, we can.
This project is being led and staffed with civilians, but monitored by senior operatives from the health sector, fire department, and the police. Action will be taken in emergency situations that arise through calls, social media, or an activity that is observed on camera. To develop the Smart Guyana project, the government signed a memorandum of understanding with the Chinese company, Huawei International, and the information gathering assessment has begun. Expansion of the long-standing Long-Term Evolution LTE, which is a 4G mobile communication standard and fiber optic networks into inland areas such as Bartica, Madia, Pokwani, and the Berbice riverine communities will assist in this project. The Smart Guyana project will also be phased in areas such as Bushlot, Bath Settlement in Berbice, and Pomeroon in Essequibo, and continue to expand. Citizens will now be able to feel safer and at ease, whilst the respective crime-fighting agencies will now respond faster because there are more efficient ways to tackle crime.
The government of Guyana and the Ministry of Public Telecommunications will roll out a number of projects that will see the citizens enjoying the good life that was promised by the APNU AFC government. Guyana as a country is set to benefit greatly from ICT development.
Whilst waiting at government buildings to transact business, citizens would be able to browse the internet, check emails and messages. The government will be offering free Wi-Fi access at all of its buildings. Minister of Public Telecommunications Catherine Hughes says $674 million has been allocated to improve connectivity and internet access at more than 140 government locations. These were already connected to the e-government network and to the 600-plus government locations.
An estimated $114 million is allocated for the provision of public internet access at over 600 government buildings across the country. These public internet access points will increase the opportunities and challenges through which thousands of Guyanese will be able to access online resources as part of government's aim to reduce the digital divide and to increase digital interconnection and association with government.
Presidential Advisor on e-government Floyd Levi says that the initiative will multiply opportunities and channels through which thousands of individuals will be able to access online resources. Citizens will also be able to access online services such as applying for passports, printing forms for the Guyana Revenue Authority, and others. Additionally, the ministry and the e-government agency will continue to expand the e-government network, which will see government budget ministries and agencies interconnecting with each other. This is so that government workers in the regions will also be able to communicate with head offices to complete their work in a timely and efficient manner.
With so many great improvements in information communication technology, ICT of the major sectors, education, health, and security, Guyana will become technologically advanced by the end of 2017. Guyana will see high-end improvements that will not only impress the Caribbean, but the world as well. We have come to the end of this week's edition of Guyana 411. Thank you very much for watching. I am Gabriela Patram. Do have a safe and productive week. Goodbye.